Good morning, Reed here. Thanks for joining me again at Orchestra Farm, my morning walkabout. And it's pretty lovely that we're moving into like the warmth of the summer, but still that bit of spring where you have the cool mornings, which I really appreciate. And things are happening here. It's almost hard enough, the ground that is, to bring in the tractor with the lawnmower on it and take down a bunch of this grass. So the wetness, although is still very much present, as you can see, it's really a perk of the place that you really don't need to water. I'm gonna take you over. We've been planting up the newest of the greenhouses in a little bit in this one that I'll be repairing today. And I guess I'm thinking about authenticity today. Now I'm utilizing some AI programs to help me with some writing that I'm doing, and I'm finding that incredibly beneficial, particularly from the standpoint of like doing drafts. Now I don't know about you, but I find making drafts of things to be a bit agonizing. It's that thing of how many times do I need to read this over and rewrite it? Just look at all those tomatoes. That's right, this greenhouse is entirely full of tomatoes. That's a lot of work, and I don't think the people who are responsible for this understand what that means, which also means I think I'm going to be the one being responsible for it. This, which is the hickory tree. Like, I'll just take a second here. There's last year's growth note, and this a solid 18 inches on top of growth is all this year so far. I am super excited about that. It's been very slow growing to start, and now it seems like it's taking off, which is amazing. But back to authenticity and the notion of utilizing AI with, my own voice. And what I mean by voice is my own writing style, and then having it, redraft things for me and changing little bits. And then I'm having conversations with multiple other people about AI related stuff and utilizing it as a helper in multiple ways, which includes as like a therapist or life coach. And witnessing people say that like it's helping them a bunch to, be a better person. And as much as I want to say I can totally see that happening, I think that there's this interesting piece in life, and I've found this in different men's groups recently, wherein, and I've heard about it on some different podcasts, oh, poor snake, wherein people talk about being a nice guy, or people are concerned about being too, what's the word I'm looking for, like brash and, insensitive. Those are two extremes on opposite sides of the person-like spectrum. And also this notion of, being a fire hose of a person or filtering yourself so that, whatever your weird eccentricities are, like, aren't the first thing that people encounter, or at least not full blast. Question marks. Now, I also really appreciate the kind of thing of we're different people in different environments. There's that funny old saying that if you want to see how enlightened you are, go spend time with your parents and family. And that recognition of, it's kind of easier to go and reinvent yourself in an entirely new place than it is to do that exactly where you are, because people already have these ideas of who you are. And with this wonderful invention of the internet and our ability to broadcast ourselves around the world. That notion of, what are you going to highlight about yourself? And we've seen the evils of social media where everyone is putting up not everyone, but lots of people, filtered version of themselves where it's just the highlight reel. And then when you look at your life based on human negativity bias, we're frequently looking at a bloopers reel. And the detriment that can be to like ourselves and society at the whole. Along with this piece of like, as people are looking to connect with others, that we're looking for idealized versions of people and not so much recognizing like the beauty of our imperfections. And so that's kind of what I'm thinking about today as I'm working on my own projects and trying to open them up in a way. Actually, I want to show you guys this plant, wherein you get, a well-rounded version of me. Because this version right here is, true for this environment. But if you've been watching my live streams from my music studio, you see a slightly different version of me. All right, here's the plant. You can name this plant. You get super bonus points today. It's like similar, totally different than asparagus. You can totally eat it, which is great, and it has a somewhat similar taste. I just think it's super awesome, and I need to like dig it up and move it somewhere that I'll be able to actually care for it, because this zone is likely to get completely tarped over, to which I need to do all that mint that you see on the ground. And then behind the mint is elecampane. For those of you who know about plants, that's not coming out of here. It's just gonna pop up somewhere else. And there's lots of stuff like that in this little area of the farm here. The things you do when you're starting off that you don't know better about. Anyway. And so the notion that like back before we had all these modern forms of communication and connecting, the piece around, you would likely have a much better idea of like a well-rounded impression of who people are. And for me, this piece of, I find it actually interesting and fun to see who someone is in that more well-rounded way, and be able to like appreciate like the positives and the challenging aspects of people. And so I want to just encourage all of us out there to embrace our authentic self and see what kind of curious and wonderful things come about when we share that with others, even just ourselves. And recognize that life is a lot more than simply our highlight reels. And I think there's a lot of beauty and potency in that. So I want to say thanks for subscribing to my channel here. I really appreciate everyone who's been doing that. I love it when people comment on the videos and I get to communicate. It might not happen the day of, but I do try to get to everyone's comments. And if you can like and share these videos, that would be incredible. Thank you all so much for being here. Have too much fun.